Always wise to protect your body from injuries, especially your head. This morning we're joined by Ansley Watson to tell us what we're talking about today. Good morning, Ansley.
Good morning, Sam. I remember when I was a kid, my parents used to always make me wear a helmet before I rode my bike. And I can remember I never liked that, but I'm so glad they did because they help prevent injuries to one of the most important organs of my body, my brain. We're standing in the UP Rehab Services building where in just a little bit we'll be talking all about concussions, how to prevent them, what to do if you have them, what are the signs and symptoms of a concussion. Stay with us. Reporting live in Marquette, Ansley Watson, TV6 News.
All right, thanks a lot, Ansley. And I think some good things you're going to want to stick around and hear there, especially it's fall back. Of course, it's important to know the signs and symptoms of concussions. And that's why Ansley Watson is going to give us a little look at what we can look for in diagnosing those. Good morning, Ansley.
Good morning, Sam. Head injuries, never a good thing. This morning we're going to talk all about concussions and how to prevent them. This morning I'm joined by an athletic trainer, Mark Stonerock. Good morning. Thanks for being with me this morning.
Oh, it's great to be here. Nothing like waking up at this hour of the morning to really get you going.
Oh, I know. Tell me all about it. I know. So I know most of us probably know what a concussion is, but what exactly is going on inside of your head whenever you get hit to form that concussion?
Well, it's a little bit different than what we used to think. People used to think that concussion was actually a blow to the head that would affect the brain as it was, but now we're finding that actual directional changes cause a lot of concussions. And whereas most people used to think one big strong hit to the head would be a very serious thing, we're finding now that more and more small hits over time end up being a bigger problem. I tell people, try to think of the brain inside the skull as an egg inside the shell. It kind of moves around freely in there. And if you compare that with the actual texture of the brain, which is somewhat like the meat of a cantaloupe, it's something that's very susceptible to injury. So when the brain moves inside the skull, it can really change the way the metabolism of the brain works, and that really affects the function of what you can do.
And what are some sports that a lot of athletes get concussions in?
Well, definitely in the UP we have the biggest problem with men's football. A lot of big guys colliding with each other, but wrestling and lacrosse are also some of the biggest one for males. On the female side, strangely enough, soccer is the #1 contributor to head injuries of all types, and that is followed by lacrosse and basketball. So a little bit different between men and women.
Yeah. I've never quite understood how in football you're still protecting your head. That's why they're wearing the helmets. Then why are people still getting concussions from that?
Well, again, going back to that old thought that it was just the blow to the outside of the head, when you're dealing with different directions and directional changes, if you're running full blast at somebody, you hit them and you stop, your brain continues to move a little bit, sloshes around, so to speak, inside the brain. So that directional change can actually be more traumatic than an actual blow to the head.
So what should somebody do if they're with someone who has just gotten a concussion?
Well, the first and foremost is you need to pull them out of whatever activity they're doing. Almost all concussions will heal over time, and generally 80 to 90% of concussion type injuries will heal themselves within 2 to 3 weeks. It's only that 5 or 10% in addition that really become problematic and you have to watch for. And there are some very serious things that can happen with ongoing concussion symptoms, or what we call secondary concussion syndrome, in which someone were to sustain another injury before they're completely recovered from the first. And those are the things that really can become life-threatening and life-altering issues.
So going off that, what are some signs and symptoms?
There are a myriad of those, and that's a funny thing because first and foremost you have headache, obviously, nausea, dizziness, confusion. There can be a lot of moodiness. Concussion in general is lumped into a bunch of categories dealing with sleep, cognitive ability, emotion, and visual disturbance. So depending on which of those you have, we can actually map where in the brain the concussion happened. For instance, the occipital lobe in the back of the head controls vision, so if you take the injury to the back of the head, you'll have those visual disturbances. The front of the brain is more with emotion, so if your concussion results in you being very moody or sad, then probably you had the concussion to that side of the brain.
All right, thanks, Mark. Stay with us. We'll talk more about how to prevent these concussions. Reporting live in Marquette, Ansley Watson, TV6 News.
All right, thanks a lot, Ansley. And